Hi everybody, it's Jeff. I'm going to do quite a big update today. I was going to do it yesterday, but I'll tell you in a moment what happened. It was a very busy day, and as I started, if you saw on the group or on the Facebook page yesterday, I was at the Solihull Hospital at 8:30. Diane gave me a lift there, and that was for the cardiac rehab. So it was an early start for that. We had to leave before 8 o'clock, and then it was just non-stop because a little bit later that morning I went to the QE for the big 6-week checkup. It was just over 6 weeks from the operation, and got a couple of silly things happened. I'll tell you about those in a moment. But went to the QE, and I'll say I'm quite impressed. I went in, and just a reception. They told me to go sit there. A few minutes later, I got called into one room, and somebody took my weight, blood pressure test, and I'd had that at Solihull in the morning. But the machine wasn't working, so they had to do it the old-fashioned way, with a stethoscope and a little pump to pump the armband up. But yeah, so at the QE they took the weight, blood pressure, and then went for an ECG, and then should have met Mr. Ashub, the surgeon, the consultant, who was going to give me the final check over. But when I got there, he'd been rushed away on an emergency, obviously somebody with a dicky ticker, and I'd met Louise, who's one of the nurses who was on the multidiscipline team, and she went through loads of checks with me, said I would be having an x-ray, but they do that afterwards now, so you don't have to sit around waiting. More about that later. And so we had a good chat there. A lot of the questions were what were asked at the cardiac clinic in the morning, about what mental state, what we eat, and they decided I eat healthily, so hopefully I'm on the right track there. And then she did some checks on the sternum, and thankfully she was happy with how the sternum's repairing on a manual check, but the x-ray is going to be obviously the big check. And then I had a load of questions prepared that I was going to ask when I saw Mr. Ashub, but I didn't actually write them down. And here's a little tip: if you go into a meeting or anything, or you got anything you need to remember, write them down. I didn't, and one of the big questions was, can I drive now? And I forgot to ask it, but a little bit more about that in a moment. So yeah, so she checked everything, had a good chat, and quite happy with the progress. Looked at the pills and potions. Unfortunately, I got to keep all the pills. There's one I might be able to knock off in about 12 months' time, but that'll have to be checked with the doctor. So it looks like I'm a pills and potion taker for the rest of my life now. So I might not be able to donate blood ever again. But anyway, so she went through all of that. Diane took me there because obviously I hadn't had the clearance to drive. And then on the way home, about 3/4 of the way home, I suddenly realised a couple of things. One, I hadn't had the chest x-ray. So apparently I think I should have, when I'd left Louise, I should have gone back to reception, and when I went to the reception there was nobody there, so I left a questionnaire they'd give me. I left that on the desk, and then just went to Diane and we went home. And like I said, then I realised I hadn't had the chest x-ray, and I thought, I think I better ring up about this. So I rang the hospital, and they said, oh, leave it with us, we'll get back to you. And about half an hour or so later, Louise rang, and we came to the conclusion that it was probably easier if we went back up to the hospital and had it done then. And she said, we've been booked in. And then, thankfully, I remembered that big question, can I drive? And luckily, she said yes. I say so I can drive locally, not big drives at the moment. And so straight away, I said, right, I'm on my way. So I went back up, I'd got the x-ray, did have to wait a bit because I had to get to the back of the queue then. So I've had the x-ray, and hopefully when they get that, the results should be all right. Hopefully not get a phone call from that. And then that's it. And the reason I went after Louise, she said, well, basically we can discharge you now. So I'm just in the hands of the cardiac rehabilitation team. If you'd seen the previous live, then obviously I'll go in there next week, and then a few appointments and move to the next level. So I think it was about, by the time I'd had the x-ray, it was getting on for 7:15, 6:30, 7:15, I was on the way home. But because I'd had the clearance to drive, I decided it was a good time to put the rest of my catalogues out. So I went round to a few customers, put the catalogues out, had a good chat with some of them, and then had to get back home quick for a business Zoom call. And that's why I didn't do the live yesterday. So I'm doing a long live now. I've actually made some notes. So what I've done today, because obviously now I'm going to get back to work and doing things, so I'm not going to have time for all the big long walks, so you won't get many Strava walks now. So Death by Strava has finished, so you get some updates when anything comes on update wise. And as for the website for the cardiac rehab, I've put another tab on the website, and that goes to the cardiac rehab page, where I'll put all the details, Facebook lives and information about that. Obviously it's helpful for people who've got to have the operation. And remember, I'll say on the Facebook group and friends, we got people from New Zealand, America, South Africa, Norway, and each country does it differently. And I'll say everybody is different. I'll say fitness wise, smoking wise, so it's not going to be the same for everybody, but it gives you an idea. And what I've done today is basically I've realised that about 8 weeks ago, before I went into hospital, I cleaned the car inside out and had it washed so it was spotless, and then it hasn't moved for 6 weeks. But in the meantime, we had all that sand from the Sahara and the rain, or was it the chemtrails? But it was sand from the Sahara, made the car filthy. So today, as a celebration of being able to drive again after sort of 6 weeks, 7 weeks, I've had the car washed, and then I've come down to take a few photos, and I will show the photos of the turtles or the terrapins. First time I've seen them down at this lake, and so on this Facebook update I'll put the photos, and on the website I'll upload them there. And as I was setting up for this live, the bloody heron landed and I missed it. So it's on an island in the middle of this lake, so I missed the heron. So basically that's it. I'll say, as for all my customers, my Viva MK customers, catalogue customers, over the next few weeks you'll all be getting the new catalogues. The first 100 are out there, so some of you have got them, and it'll be nice seeing you all again. Like I say, last night I had a chat to a few people, and it's nice that they're waiting at the door for a chat. And the nice thing about it is everybody says I look really well, so that's a good sign. And basically it's a good sign for the surgeon and his team for the work they did, and the hospital for looking after us. And now it's down to me not to overdo it, and I think it's every customer, every friend, every relation knows what I'm like. I overdo things, and I'm going to carry on now as the nurses, the doctors tell me to, and I'm going to take it a bit at a time. And they say it's at least another month before that sternum chest bone is fully healed, so I've got to be very careful lifting things. And so, and for people who've had it done, one of the things I've come up with is stop, think, and then look for a way around it. Stop and think what I'm going to do. Is it too heavy? Is it too strenuous? Think of another way of doing it, and do things with two hands, not one hand. So I think really that's, I'm going to have a look at my list here. So yesterday, long day, yes, I messed up. I own up to my mistakes, and I was just so excited to have the clearance, I rushed off without the x-ray. Come back, asked about driving, then Viva MK, Zoom, food, so that's it. So I'm fully back to life now. I can drive, and I'm gonna have a finish walking around the lake, see if I get some photos, and I'll upload any that I do, and that's it. And then it's time for food and my last day of rest, and then I start picking catalogues tomorrow and Friday, and back to normal routine. So yeah, it's been an interesting couple of months, but things are going to get back to normal now, and I'll hopefully see you all soon. Okay, that's it. Bye now.